Imagine a runway so short, it looks like a postage stamp in the middle of the ocean, or a landing where mountains are your closest neighbors and crosswinds feel like a wrestling match. Could you handle the pressure of flying into the world's most extreme airports? These are not your average tarmacs. They are marvels of engineering and human skill, carved into landscapes that seem to actively defy the very concept of aviation. Places where pilots need nerves of steel and a deep understanding of physics just to get the wheels on the ground safely. For most of us, an airport is a place of waiting, security checks, and maybe an overpriced coffee. But for a select few pilots and the communities they serve, these strips of asphalt, concrete, even sand, are lifelines. They represent a daily battle against geography, weather, and the fundamental limits of flight. Each landing is a calculated risk, a testament to incredible precision and planning, where a few feet or a few seconds can make all the difference. Today, we're going to fly into some of the most challenging runways on the planet, from the Caribbean to the Scottish Isles. We'll explore the engineering that makes them possible, the extraordinary skill of the pilots who navigate them, and how the looming reality of a changing climate could alter everything. And looking forward, we'll see how technology might just provide the solutions to keep these vital connections open. We'll explore the engineering, the pilots, and how the future could change everything. Chapter 1. Our first stop is perhaps the most famous or infamous, depending on your perspective. Princess Juliana International Airport on the island of St. Martin. You've almost certainly seen the videos. A massive Airbus A340 or a Boeing 747, its jet blast sending sand and towels flying. It looks completely insane, and yet for decades, this has been routine, daily. It's a perfect storm of tourism and topography. The runway here, runway 10, is notoriously short, just over 2,300 meters, about 7,500 feet. One end, a mountain. Other end, the Caribbean Sea. Pilots must touch down at the very start of the runway. That forces an unnervingly low approach right over the beach. The threshold is literally meters from the sand. Pilots here are specially trained. They are not just eyeballing it. They follow a precise 3-degree glide slope. But being so close to the ground makes it anything but standard. They constantly manage airspeed and descent with razor precision. A fraction too high risks overshoot. A fraction too low is unthinkable. Pilots must block out the visual illusion of people below and focus on instruments. Then there are the crosswinds. Strong crosswinds can push the aircraft sideways. Pilots use crabbing. Point the nose into the wind. The aircraft still tracks the runway centerline. Just before touchdown, they decrab, kicking rudder to align. It's a delicate, high-stakes dance in a multi-hundred-ton machine. And then there's the people on the beach. Chapter 2. From a beach runway, we now travel to a runway that is also a highway. Welcome to Gibraltar International Airport. Here, the challenge isn't just about landing, it's about coordinating with cars, cyclists, pedestrians. The main road into the British Overseas Territory, Winston Churchill Avenue, cuts directly across the airport's only runway. It's one of the only airports in the world to have such a feature. A solution born from extreme spatial constraints. Gibraltar is a tiny peninsula, dominated by the enormous Rock of Gibraltar. There is very little flat land, and what little there is has to be shared. When the airport was built during World War II, this was the only viable location, so they laid the runway and simply accepted that the main road would have to cross it. Today, every time a plane is due to land or take off, the procedure is remarkably similar to a railway crossing. Red lights flash, bells ring, and barriers come down, stopping all road traffic. Marshals ensure the area is completely clear of vehicles and people. Only when the runway is confirmed to be sterile is the aircraft given clearance by air traffic control. The whole process can stop traffic for about 10 to 15 minutes per aircraft movement. On a busy day, this can cause significant delays for the thousands of residents and tourists trying to get into or out of Gibraltar. It's a logistical puzzle on a grand scale. The approach itself is no walk in the park either. To the south, you have the Strait of Gibraltar and the coast of Africa. To the north, the Bay of Gibraltar, and looming over everything is the rock itself. This massive limestone ridge creates its own bizarre and unpredictable microclimate. Winds swirling around the rock can cause severe turbulence and powerful downdrafts, especially on the approach to runway 27, which heads east towards the rock. Pilots need to be acutely aware of these conditions. A sudden gust or a pocket of sinking air can destabilize the aircraft at the most critical phase of flight. They rely on detailed weather reports and, crucially, reports from aircraft that have landed just before them. The approach often involves a tight, curving path over the bay to line up with the runway, all while being buffeted by unpredictable winds. It's a test of both instrument flying and raw stick and rudder skills. Despite the obvious complexities, the safety record at Gibraltar is excellent. This is down to incredibly strict protocols, meticulous coordination between the airport authorities and the local police, and the high level of training required for pilots who fly here. Every movement is planned and executed with military precision because it has to be. It's a living example of how infrastructure can be adapted to serve two completely different purposes, but only through rigid rules and zero tolerance for error. Chapter 3. Now for something completely different. We leave behind concrete and asphalt for a runway that disappears twice a day. This is Barra Airport, in the Outer Hebrides of Scotland, the only airport in the world with scheduled flights landing on a tidal beach. There are no paved runways here. The runway is simply a stretch of hard-packed wet sand at the head of a shallow bay called Traig Moor, which means Big Beach. Operations here are entirely dictated by nature. The flight schedule isn't set by passenger demand or airline convenience, it's set by the tides. Flights can only operate during low tide, when a vast expanse of sand is exposed. When the tide comes in, the 3 designated runway areas are completely submerged by the Atlantic Ocean. The pilots who fly the small Twin Otter aircraft into Barra are masters of adaptation. The beach is not a uniform surface. Its condition changes daily with the tides, the weather, and the seasons. Is the sand firm and smooth, or has a recent storm left it soft and rippled? Pilots rely on a combination of visual inspection from the air and reports from the ground staff. The airport manager literally drives a vehicle across the sand before a flight is due, to test its firmness and mark out the best landing area with simple wooden poles. Landing on sand is fundamentally different from landing on a paved surface. There's less friction, and the braking action can be unpredictable. Pilots aim for the darker, wetter sand, which is typically firmer. They have to fly a very precise approach to touch down in the designated zone, avoiding softer patches and any debris washed up by the last tide. In winter, with shorter daylight hours and often brutal North Atlantic weather, the window of opportunity to land safely can be incredibly small. This airport is a vital lifeline for the small island community of Barra, providing a connection for mail supplies and medical transport that would be much slower by ferry. The terminal building is a tiny, unassuming structure at the edge of the dunes. There are no fancy instrument landing systems here. It's all down to visual flying rules, the pilot's skill, and a deep respect for the power of the natural environment. It's a throwback to the earliest days of aviation, yet it operates safely day in, day out. The constraints are immense. Sometimes in winter, if the low tide occurs during the hours of darkness, there are simply no flights. The airport has recently trialed approved night landings using reflective strips and vehicle headlights to illuminate the landing area, a huge step forward for the island's connectivity. Barra represents the ultimate partnership between aviation and nature, a place where the timetable is written not by an airline, but by the moon. Chapter 4. The delicate balance that allows these extreme airports to function is now under threat from a force far greater than a crosswind or a tricky approach: climate change. The very factors that make them challenging, their proximity to water, their location in volatile mountain regions, also make them exceptionally vulnerable to a warming planet and its consequences. These are the canaries in the coal mine for global aviation infrastructure. Let's start with the most direct threat: sea level rise. For an airport like Barra, built on a beach, Princess Juliana, just meters from the sea, even a modest increase in average sea level could have catastrophic effects. Less time when Barra's beach is usable, more frequent flooding of the runway, For St. Martin, routine inundation of the tarmac during storm surges or exceptionally high tides, rendering the airport unusable for longer periods. Then there's the increased intensity and frequency of storms. More powerful hurricanes in the Caribbean, stronger winter gales in the North Atlantic. For an airport like Gibraltar, this could translate to more days where the turbulence around the rock is simply too dangerous for safe operations. For St. Martin, it means a higher risk of the entire airport infrastructure being damaged or destroyed, as we saw with Hurricane Irma in 2017. It's not just about storms and floods. Shifting weather patterns can have more subtle, but equally disruptive, effects. Prevailing winds might change direction or become more erratic, making once reliable approach paths more challenging. For airports that already operate on the very edge of safety margins, like those with severe crosswind limitations, a permanent shift in wind patterns could require a complete reevaluation of their operational procedures, or even necessitate the construction of new runways aligned with the new normal. Mountain airports are not immune either. A warmer climate can lead to more unstable air masses, increasing the likelihood of sudden, violent thunderstorms and unpredictable wind shear in mountainous terrain. For airports like Lukla in Nepal or Telluride in Colorado, where pilots already contend with thin air and dramatic topography, this adds another layer of risk to an already high-stakes environment. The weather windows for safe operation could become shorter and less predictable. Ultimately, climate change threatens the very reliability that these communities depend on. These airports aren't just for tourists. They are essential economic and social lifelines. When they are forced to close due to weather, it's not just an inconvenience. It can mean critical supplies don't arrive, or medical emergencies can't be handled. The engineering and skill that built these airports now face a new challenge: how to adapt to a future where the environment they were designed for is changing before our very eyes. We really have to think about that. Chapter 5. Faced with these mounting challenges, the aviation industry isn't standing still. A wave of new technology is on the horizon, promising to enhance safety and potentially redefine what's possible in extreme environments. The future of these airports may depend not just on pilot skill, but on the sophisticated systems backing them up in the cockpit and on the ground. One of the most significant advancements is in navigation. Traditional navigation aids can be imprecise, but modern required navigation performance, or RNP, systems are a game changer. Using GPS and onboard monitoring, RNP allows aircraft to fly highly precise, curved paths. This could allow a plane approaching Gibraltar to fly a repeatable, automated route that optimally avoids the worst turbulence from the rock, or enable aircraft to navigate complex mountain valleys with a level of accuracy that is simply not possible for a human pilot alone. It turns a high workload manual flight into a managed, monitored procedure. We are also seeing the rise of AI-assisted systems. Imagine a co-pilot that isn't human. This AI could analyze thousands of data points in real time: wind shear, air density, runway surface conditions, aircraft weight, and provide the human pilot with optimal control inputs or warnings. For a landing at Barra, it could analyze a visual scan of the beach to identify the firmest sand. This isn't about replacing the pilot, but about augmenting their senses and decision-making capabilities, reducing their cognitive load in critical moments. Perhaps the most radical solution lies in changing the aircraft themselves. The development of electric vertical takeoff and landing (eVTOL) aircraft, essentially large, quiet drones capable of carrying passengers, could revolutionize access to difficult locations. An eVTOL wouldn't need a long runway at all. It could land vertically in a small, designated area, completely bypassing the challenges of a short runway or a beach. For island communities, this could mean more reliable, all-weather connections. On a smaller scale, autonomous drones are already being tested for logistics. Instead of risking a piloted flight in marginal weather to deliver medical supplies to Barra, a specialized drone could make the trip. This separates the task of moving cargo from the risk of endangering a human crew. Alongside this, meteorological forecasting is becoming hyper-local and far more accurate, using AI to predict microclimates and turbulence with a precision we've never had before. giving pilots better information to make go, no-go decisions. These technologies, precision navigation, AI augmentation, new aircraft concepts, advanced forecasting, offer a suite of potential solutions. They won't eliminate the inherent challenges of these locations, but they can dramatically expand the safety margins. They provide tools that allow human skill and judgment to be applied more effectively. The future of extreme airports will likely be a hybrid of human expertise and technological assistance, working together to keep these vital gateways open safely and reliably. I mean, that's where things are heading. Chapter 6. We've journeyed from the sun-drenched beaches of the Caribbean to the tidal flats of Scotland, exploring just a handful of the world's most demanding airports. Lukla, Courchevel, Saba, Antarctic, Ice Runway. Each one presents a unique puzzle, a distinct set of challenges that requires a blend of engineering, procedure, and sheer human skill, day after day. They are a powerful reminder that aviation is still, at its heart, about managing risk and pushing boundaries. These places force us to confront the incredible precision involved in modern flight. We often take for granted the automated, routine nature of air travel, forgetting the immense forces at play and the narrow margins for error. Princess Juliana, Gibraltar, Barra. They strip away that complacency and put the raw skill of the pilots and the ingenuity of the planners on full display for everyone to see. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. For every famous extreme airport, there are dozens of lesser-known airstrips in jungles, on mountainsides, on remote islands. From the terrifyingly short and steep runway at Lukla in the Himalayas to the icy runways of Antarctica, the world is full of places where landing a plane is an extraordinary feat. And that's where you come in. We want to hear your stories. Have you ever flown into an airport that made your palms sweat? Maybe you're a pilot who has navigated one of these challenging approaches, or perhaps you live near an unusual airstrip. What are the craziest runways you've experienced or heard about? We're always looking for new stories to tell and new places to explore. Let us know in the comments below. Tell us about the airports that you think deserve a spot on this list. Your suggestion might just become the subject of our next deep dive into the world of extreme aviation. We read every comment, and the community's knowledge is one of our greatest resources for finding these hidden gems of engineering and human endeavor. And of course, if you enjoyed this journey to the edge of what's possible in flight, make sure you are subscribed to the channel and have notifications turned on. We have many more stories like this to share, exploring the fascinating intersection of technology, engineering, and the incredible world around us. Your support allows us to keep making these videos and exploring these amazing places. So yeah, please do share. Outro. From a road that doubles as a runway to a landing strip washed away by the tide, these airports operate on the very edge of possibility. They are a testament to human ingenuity and our determination to connect even the most remote corners of our world. But as we've seen, the ground beneath them and the sky above them is changing. The challenges of geography are now being compounded by the challenges of a changing climate, pushing these delicate operations toward a critical point. The future, however, is not without hope. With advancements in precision navigation, artificial intelligence, revolutionary aircraft designs like eVTOLs, these technologies could provide the tools needed to overcome not only the existing challenges, but also the new ones that lie ahead. The story of extreme airports is far from over. It's simply entering its next, most technologically advanced chapter, balancing human skill with machine precision. So, the next time you're on a flight, looking out the window as you approach your destination, take a moment to appreciate the incredible system that's bringing you safely to the ground. For most of us, it's routine. But in some corners of the world, it remains one of the most demanding and thrilling spectacles of human achievement. Which runway would you never land on? Tell us in the comments and subscribe for more aviation thrills. Well, thanks for watching.